Scott, it is great to have you on. We're super excited we get to have your wife here in person at the event, but being able to have you hop on real quick. I know we got to meet in Alta. You've got incredible success in life and business, and I just remember being so impacted by you and Sue, just your humility and knowing. I know on the back end, how many things you've accomplished and what you've done and fulfillment, your kids, your family, fostering children, like the impacts that you've had, but then the humility that you have that drives that was really the biggest thing that impacted me. So it's such a pleasure to have you. I know that what you're about to share, everyone here is going to get so much value from. And so with that said, let's dive on in. I got a couple questions. So first of all, just starting out, your personal journey. Uh, Everyone here, they don't know much about you. So tell me a little bit about your background, where you're from, how you got where you're at, and what you're doing, and yeah, the impact of that.
Yeah, th thanks, Nicholas. Fun to be here. Hope this is inspiring and helpful for the whole group. So, grew up in Sacramento, went to UCLA, met my wife Sue there, and we got married, not long after. We were 23 years old. We both come from middle class families. We were broke for the first couple years trying to make things work, living in a one-bedroom apartment in Santa Monica, I think 440 square feet. And then I started my financial business. So I had an awesome mentor named Dave Bennett who brought me under his wing, helped me start my own financial and tax planning firm out of the gate. So 22 years old, fresh grad from UCLA, wasn't from money, didn't have potentially great financial connections, but was able to get the business off the ground very slowly, kind of with Sue's support, as she might elaborate on. So 2 or 3 years of grinding, then the business started to grow and have grown it to, it's still a small business, but 7 full-time employees and have been able to serve hundreds of clients over the years, and it's a fun, profitable business at this stage.
Come on, that's awesome. What would you say was, you were 23, kind of getting out of the gate and starting. What would you say is the number one, I'm always curious, the number one resource or book or idea that you began to implement that just made the biggest impact, the biggest difference, the biggest traction in your life?
Yes, plain and simple accountability and mastermind groups. I mean,
Really?
no doubt.
Okay.
And I had a number of different ones over the years. Sometimes there was one that was for, new business owners or younger entrepreneurs or financial professionals, and they work for as ever long as you're in that season, and then you kind of move on to the next group. But absolutely, without that type of camaraderie, that support, that community, that encouragement, there's no way I'd be where I am. So both the group accountability and the one-on-one accountability with the right business coaches who can really pour into you and mentor you. Like I mentioned, my mentor Dave really did for me in those early days.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know. I met you at the Alta event, and that was, part of a mastermind that I know of a lot of people have been really deeply impacted by.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, aside from accountability, I'm always curious to know in a journey of success. I mean, you've had success familiar, with your family. You've also had great success in business, but I always like to know what are some of the key maybe challenges or failures you've experienced, and how did you overcome both in life, so maybe family relational, or and then in business, if they come to mind.
Yeah, so two things come to mind. On the business side, it's just getting a business off the ground. You're young, you have a dream, the world's your oyster, and then you get punched in the face a couple times the first couple months, and like, wow, this is way harder than I thought. It's not glamorous. All your flaws come to the surface. Okay, I'm not as disciplined. I don't wake up early. I'm not as smart, or my connections aren't paying the dividends I was hoping for. Wow, this is a huge hill to climb. So there were definitely major challenges there, which all affect your identity and your sense of well-being and your optimism and your fire, passion, right? When you feel like, hey, this isn't working. So major challenges there the first couple years getting the business started. Also, yeah, identity questions. Okay, who am I? Am I as smart as I thought? Am I as likable as I thought? How come it's working for that guy and not me? The comparison game. Why is he further down the road than I am? That's an ongoing challenge to kind of stay in your lane, run your race, and not get obsessed about other success. And then I'd say on the personal side, it's kind of fun speaking here with Sue because we've each had our own journeys. So there's us each supporting each other in their careers and different times when one of us will pull back to support the other one and make some sacrifices, and just the challenge of navigating that with two very unique, different people. So a lot of strengths there, but also some friction, right? It's like, wow, okay, you look at the world that way. This is important to you. This is important to me. And getting on the same page for that and fighting for that is not easy, right? So, 13 years married now, a couple of kids later, we're doing well, but there's a number of challenging seasons in there to figure out how do we best come alongside each other.
Yeah. Yeah. No, very good. And I'm always curious to know as well, what are there some key habits maybe that you've developed? You mentioned earlier, like, oh, maybe you didn't get it. It was harder than you thought, or, the disciplines weren't there. What habits have you developed to this point that have made the biggest impact?
Yes, I'd say morning affirmations are right up there. So I have 10 to 12 affirmations I read out every work morning. Things like God is my father, protector, and provider from an identity standpoint, making sure that takes root in me. Our family values, we have five family values: identity, humility, generosity, integrity, and fun, or funity, we call
Funny.
it. So it's an itty, but reminding ourselves of those values and living into those. So the affirmations and the values, I'd say, and then having again the right accountability group. Currently, I have a weekly Monday morning accountability group with seven other guys to share our goals, share our progress, encourage each other, really build that community. That's been key as well. Because I mean, even what am I now, 14 years into the business, have grown it. Some folks would consider it a success, and there's still challenges every week, right? So getting kind of that shot in the arm every Monday morning. Okay, what am I focused on this week? What am I focused on this quarter, this month? But what am I doing this week? What am I doing today to move that forward? That gives me the motivation to keep going.
Yeah, no, that's very good. If you were to restart and go, time machine, go back to 23 years old, right before you're about to step out, or right around that time, what would you have told yourself then to prepare you better off, or to get you, a resource in your hand, or like what would you have given yourself or said to yourself to make this journey more effective?
Great question. And I think about this because we have two young boys, and I think, okay, how do we want to shape their career development? I think the biggest thing, if I could go back and talk to my 23-year-old self would be to keep going and be patient. I mean, I was
Hmm.
surprised by how long it took to get the business around the corner to where it was making money. I mean, it took like 3 full years. It's like 150 weeks, 36 months of working and calling and moving and all that to really get it in a positive momentum. And I was surprised by that. I was just an optimistic guy where, okay, quarter one, we're going to hit this, year one, we're going to hit
Yeah,
this, then I'll hire an assistant, then I'll do this. You plan it out. And then again, life punches you in the face, and you're like, wow, this is way harder than I thought. So I probably beat myself up too much over that. And those definitely had some negative days in there where I was taking it personally and it was difficult. But so I just go back and say, hey, that's the journey. And this is when it goes well. I mean, the good journey, when it goes well, when you're on the right track,
yeah,
takes 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? So be patient. Don't freak out week one or month one. Have the foresight and the perspective to stick it out. Just
yeah,
be patient. I see a lot of young entrepreneurs now who have these audacious goals, and they haven't had the opportunity to develop the perseverance or the grit yet. So there's kind of book knowledge and, book smarts, and then there's the street smarts and the real life experience. And those have to come together in a way. So they come together naturally, but I would just say be patient, hang in there. You've heard the quote, most people underestimate what they can do in 10 years and overestimate what they can do in 1 year,
yeah.
right? So have that long-term perspective. You have the rest of your life in front of you, but just make those incremental steps every day.
Wow. Yeah. Well, Scott, there's something I've learned about you, and this is important. Like, this is a story, I think everyone listening, that if you tune in, it's going to help you move towards what's good in your life. And if you don't tune in and you tune out or you don't apply or reject what's about to be shared, it can really put you back and cause a lot of additional challenges that are not needed in life. And that's the around the area, Scott, of vision. Vision. What's important about having vision, and how does not having vision in any area of life negatively affect people or positively affect people if they have it?
Yes. So, the Bible says, without vision, the people perish. And so there needs to be some, I consider myself a visionary as far as being able to see the future. I'm future focused,
Yeah.
future oriented. So it's not hard for me to say, okay, here's what I'd love my family to look like. Here's what I want the business to look like, my faith, my fitness, my fun, my finances, right? So I would just say, take a small step back to the point of being patient. Don't expect to have a clear vision on everything and, oh, I should be clear on this, but I'm not. Just take one small step, celebrate the gain, and say, okay, what's one of those aspects? What do you want your health to look like? What do you want your relationship with your spouse or future partner to look like? And if you can start to build those out just a little bit, it's amazing how you get attracted to those things. They draw you in, and it all started by just becoming clear. I think I've been amazed, myself included, how lack of clarity is like a disease. Being floating through life, ambiguous, unsure, unclear, just seeing all the roadblocks. A lot of people live that way. They have 10 reasons why they can't do something, and they probably haven't even developed the 10 reasons why they can. The muscle of seeing the positive, seeing the gain, staying optimistic is underdeveloped for a lot of folks, myself included sometimes. I just see hurdles over here. Okay, there's 10 reasons I can't get fit or I can't do this. And I can focus on that. So really clarifying, what do you want that vision to look like? And then what's one small step you can take to move it in that direction?
Yeah. What would you say to somebody who's like, man, I'm just not really a visionary though. Like that's not really how I think and how I operate. What would you say to someone like that?
Find someone who is and partner.
Hmm.
I'm all about collaborations. There's many things I'm not great at. I'm not great on the tech side. I'm not great on the detailed side or process side or finance, P&Ls, things like that. So I have the right people on my team to partner with. And if your business is smaller and you don't have, the budget to hire someone full time, there's plenty of freelancers or executive assistants, virtual assistants, extremely affordable to kind of have that right partnership. So, okay, maybe I'm not the visionary, I'm not great at that, but I'm going to partner with the right mastermind or the right other entrepreneurs or business owners that do have that vision. I'll do my unique ability, they'll do theirs. We'll have this awesome collaboration. And I found that that's how many successful people operate. I think at the beginning at 23, I thought, okay, there's just some jacks of all trades. They're amazing at everything. I'm just not at that level. And then you look behind the curtain and you're like, whoa, the most successful people are really great at one little sliver, one little vertical, like, 10% of the work, and they form these amazing collaborations with the other 90%, people who are great in their own vertical, and the unique ability collaboration is phenomenal. It's 10x, it's unlike
Wow.
anything else. So don't beat yourself up. You are who you are. I mean, you can develop the right mindsets and affirmations and vision. You can get a little bit better, but if you're not great at the vision side, just like I'm not great at, the tech or the process side, stop hitting your head against the ceiling and trying to force yourself into a box that you're not going to fit,
Mhm.
right? Start to think about, okay, who are the collaborations I want to bring on my team? Maybe not immediately, but who are the people that I want to bring on over time so we can form that really unique collaboration together?
Wow. Yeah, very good. Well, Scott, you've shared some incredible things about, accountability, the importance of masterminds, the importance of morning affirmations in your journey, family values, working well with Sue, your wife, and coming into alignment, finding where you're not strong, someone else is, and collaborating that way. Keep going, being patient, not just like success takes time, and it's a journey. And so moving forward, keeping that focus, and then the importance of vision. And so I wanted to ask you as we kind of close up here, what's the one question that you wish you would have been asked that you just like if they just ask this question, it would be so helpful because you know that what you have to give and the information there can really impact people's lives.
It's a great question. It goes back to vision, I bet the question I wish people would have asked earlier on and helped me get clear on is who are you? Like, what are your superpowers, Scott? What, forget all the things you're not. What are you? What are you great at? And how do we develop that? So I think it took me 10 or 12 years in my entrepreneurial journey to get clear on, okay, I'm a visionary, I'm a connector, and I'm a multiplier. Like it's easy for me to see vision on how good a business or an idea can be. I'm a connector. I love connecting with people. I'm an extrovert. I love, having lots of friends and then multiplying. Once I find a good idea, I love to blow it up. It's like, hey, how do we do 8 of these events a year? This model worked. Like we took our kids and a friend to Top Golf on Monday, Martin Luther King Day, and it was a blast. It was so fun. And we're like, wow, this model works. Like the kids can bring a friend. It's great. It's a couple hours. It's affordable. It's a good time. How do we blow that up and do that twice a month? Is what I'm thinking, multiplier. So
Yeah.
my point is that I was not clear that I am a visionary, a connector, and a multiplier till 10 or 12 years in. And I think, wow, if someone would have helped me kind of spend enough time with me to help me clarify that, speak encouragement over me, create that vision of what the God-given talents were, it would have accelerated my journey for sure. So
Wow.
what saddens me is I would hate for people to feel like, okay, they're not an entrepreneur or they're not getting the momentum they want just because they're not clear on who God made them to be.
Wow.
There's a layer of film or ambiguity that I think the enemy really thrives at to kind of have us see the gap and not see our own skills and our own abilities that God gave us. So, yeah, that's what I would say. Who am I? What are my superpowers? And then how do I build those out a little bit more?
Oh, I love that. Wow, that's so good. Now, Scott, I want to leave everyone with just a call to action. So leaving on that last point, who am I? What am I here for? Like, what's my purpose? What are my strengths? I absolutely agree with you. But would you say is the one action people could take right now today that they could either write down and take home tonight, or they could do in 5 minutes to move the needle forward on understanding who they are, what they're great at, and ultimately how they can develop that moving forward.
Yes. For me, it's simple as 2 words: get accountability. I mean, I needed that group. I needed an accountability group, a mastermind group, a group of people that would walk with me, speak into my life, help me clarify that. And by the way, seeing them get clearer on their goals and their vision, their superpowers helps me. I'm like, okay, now I see that model. Bob's great at this. John's great at this. Bill's great at this. Nicholas is great at this. Right. So being in that group, in that community, I think that's how we were made to live, is the fastest way to get there. I mean, I think there might be the top 1% of geniuses, savants in the world that don't need other people. Maybe they can, do a weekend yoga retreat and figure it
Yeah.
all out. But for the rest of us ordinary folks, we need the community. We need the accountability. I needed Dave to take me under his wing to speak truth over me and to give me that encouragement. So I'd say whatever group, I mean, I love what LifeWorks is all about, but whatever group it's involving, get
Yeah.
the accountability, get around like-minded, successful folks, and just watch how quickly you progress and how much fun you have along the journey.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Scott, it's such a privilege to have you on. Yeah, I know we get to spend more time here with Sue, but next time we'll get you in town. Next time we'll get you out here. But yeah, well, God bless. Thank you so much for your time and appreciate you. We'll see you very soon.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks.